like a slope-intercept or a function, right? Function, we're talking inputs, outputs. So it's the same idea when we're working with making XY tables in a graph. So let's say we're given just simple y equals x plus 2. Y equals x plus 2. If we're making a table, you know, there's any values you could pick, but I think some of the best values to go through would be the -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2, because you could see what's happening on both sides of the y-axis. This will help you identify positive and negative slopes. It helps you look at things, or you know, try to evaluate what happens when you have something that's a negative, when you're inputting a negative number as well as you're inputting a positive number. So just simply you're looking at each of these and you're evaluating, okay, what is my output when my input is a -2? So here y is equal to 0. What is my output when my input is a -1? Okay, here I have 1. You just, and this is how we're coming up with our table here. Three, and then finally 2 plus 2, 4. Easy, make up a table. And we've seen some of this. Okay, well, it's good to take another look at it. And we see, okay, I have, for each change in x, 1, my change of 1, I'm having also a change of 1. So basically this is a 1-to-1 change ratio or slope, and it's going up, so we know it to be positive. But you can simply just look at a graph or make up your graph, plot your points, -2 for my x-axis, and 0, -1 and 1. I just make slashes for where I'm plotting. I'm not going to put all 10, 1 and 3, especially if I'm making a freehand graph, 2 and 4. Okay, this is how we're making a graph, given a function where we're making a table and then making a graph. You may end up with a problem that, okay, has a negative slope with a fraction, and then maybe this time a positive y-intercept. We kind of know some of this information, slope and intercept here. And let's say we want to take a look at a different type of table. Maybe we're just going to look at even numbers and what happens when you input even numbers, both positive and negative. I like doing this too. I like using even numbers here too, because I know half of these numbers. Half of 4 is 2, half of 2 is 1. So I'm giving myself good numbers to put in for x so that I can easily evaluate what's half. Like if I had a 1/3 x, I may choose as my x values -9, -6, -3, 0, 3, 6, because these are numbers that work well with a 1/3. So here I have, and we're just evaluating -1/2, -4 plus 2. Negative, positive, half of 4, 2. 2 plus 2, 4. And then we'll evaluate -1/2 times a -2 plus 2. That's 1 plus 2. That's 3. Check my work there. Half a 4. That's good. Y is equal to -1/2, -1. Oh no, we're using 0 here. Plus 2. Now, I notice, again, a trend here that we're going +1, or I'm sorry, -1, -1. So do I have to continue to evaluate? No, I could probably just go ahead and realize that this pattern is going to continue. I've had a pattern of 2. You know, maybe I could go as far as 3 and make a pattern there. And then, again, easy to make a graph. use the points that you have, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 4. I just make the slashes for the 1, 2, and 3, 0 and 2. 2 and 1. Ooh, you made a mistake there. Y is equal to 1/2, 2, plus 2, which gives me -1 plus 2, which is 1. 2, 1. Graph looks a little bit off there. Oh, that's because this should have been 0 and 2 here. See how I graphed it 3, the 3 and the, this is my 2 here, so it should have been the -2 and the 3. And here I have the 0 and the 2, and now I have the 2 and the 1. That's also a nice thing about the graph is that, let's say you're plotting some of your points. That's a terrible line, that's okay though. Let's say you're plotting some of your points. I retraced the terrible line. I made a terrible line twice. You're plotting your coordinates, and then once you put it on your graph, if you see you have an outlier, all of a sudden you're plotting your points, and then you saw what happened there. I was going this way, and all of a sudden, you know, I had a point here, and then my point was up here, and I'm like, well, that's not going to work as a graph. How's that going to work? So I was actually able to identify the fact that, okay, something was either wrong with my table or something was wrong with my graph. So I was actually able to figure out that something was wrong with my graph. Go back, I check my work. Yeah, I'm okay. 1 here, I check my work. Okay, let me check my graph, and I forgot I was working in 2s. That's making